Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while, apologies for that. We're back with a Transformers toy review. This is kind of a crossover toy. This is the Decepticon Megatron H.I.S.S tank. It's the latest kind of collaboration Transformers toy that they've been doing, and this time crossing over with G.I. Joe. And this Megatron figure transforms into this H.I.S.S tank here. Comes with a Baroness figure as well, which is kind of the old vintage style one with the O-rings in. And it comes in this box that you get. And it actually, once you've taken off the stickers, it actually pulls apart to reveal the actual box in there. So you've got one side which is obviously G.I. Joe, one side which is Transformers in terms of packaging, which is really nicely done, and the artwork is great. Ages 8+. And then on the side here, you get a few pictures of Megatron in robot mode, and then H.I.S.S tank mode. Come around to the side, you've got the H.I.S.S tank thing on here, and then you get a picture on the back, which does actually carry over the Transformers artwork on both sides, but you get him in his robot mode with, it shows you the Baroness can sit in the top there. The G.I. Joe collaboration 2022, and the H.I.S.S tank here also showing the Baroness, how she can sit in the cockpit of the H.I.S.S tank. It's 28 steps to transformation, and then on the other side just a couple of pictures of Megatron there, and underneath nothing much to write home about. Yeah, so it opens up like this, either side like that. So then you pop that off to the side. So yeah, it comes up and says top secret. Surveillance has detected spies scouting Cobra base. Unauthorized vehicle is identified as subject B. Be prepared to intercept. Their sting is sharp, but we are poised to strike. And then it came round. Unauthorized vehicles as subject B. Oh, so this is a tease towards the Bumblebee. So Cobra is saying they've identified spies, unauthorized vehicles as subject B, meaning Bumblebee. The sting is sharp, obviously referring to a B. And then you open up Megatron H.I.S.S tank. Opens up. I've actually taken it out, but I'll just show you kind of how it was packaged. So you actually have you would have had the figure packaged in here in robot mode, part of the cockpit in here, these kind of shoulder bits falling in there, and then his guns either side, and then underneath is a separate bit which has actually got the actual figure and the instructions. So I'll take this out just to show you if I can pull this out. There we go. Then I can put the box off to one side. So this is the actual vehicle itself. So I've already transformed it, but I thought I wanted to show you guys. I'll do the transformation the other way, so I will still do it from robot. Or I can do it either way back, it's absolutely fine, but just to show you guys. And you get some neat bits of kind of paintwork and things like that, or tampo, I think you would call them. You get the Cobra logo, some bits and pieces down here. G.I. Joe fans will know probably more about all of this kind of stuff. Some bits and pieces in here as well. So more or less the same. You get a couple of spots on here to put your figure, and you can see underneath here you've got like a little catch here, so you can then tow another vehicle, and you can see underneath here some of the Megatron bits, and then that's where you can also store the figure. This bit actually turns around. These guns were packaged separately, so they do come on and off. And then here's the Megatron fusion cannon, which is actually set in kind of grey plastic and is painted like this glossy black sort of colour. So you've got that, and that just kind of pegs on it. It's quite a shallow peg actually, so but it does rotate around itself. And then you can also lift this bit up here, and you can see everything kind of sits in there quite nicely. So you've got like a proper seat and everything else in there. So yeah, it's done pretty well. There's some interesting bits of transformation when it comes to the legs and the arms, which I didn't see coming. There are quite like a lot of hollow bits and things which we come to see. He definitely looks better in this mode as opposed to the robot mode, I think. And it, like in this mode, it feels more like just the weight and everything feels more like a G.I. Joe vehicle. When we get to robot mode and everything's kind of slayed out a little bit more, it feels like a little bit lighter, a bit more like a KO Transformer toy. But in this mode here, it does feel like the real deal, a G.I. Joe vehicle. And if anything, it probably feels quite heavy for a G.I. Joe vehicle. And then you get the figure. So you get Baroness here on card. So you get a little machine gun. What's that she's got there? Is that a hat or a shield? Not really sure. And then Cobra Intelligence Officer, primary specialty intelligence, secondary specialty fixed wing pilot, birthplace classified, graduated from student radicalism into international sabotage and the ranks of Cobra. Of course you did. So you've got all of that. And then I will just open her up. I mean, for those people thinking of getting two of these, you know, I don't think that's an option really. You know, having one in robot and one in vehicle mode, I don't think that's an option really, unless you've, I guess, got a lot of money. Yeah, I guess that's the main one. Yeah, I can't see it at the moment. I think this one would have to come down in price if you attempted to do that. I don't know how this scales to a proper H.I.S. tank. It looks about the right size because the obviously figure goes with it. So I'd imagine you'd probably be able to actually pick up a vintage H.I.S. tank a lot cheaper. Oh, so this is like a little backpack with a Cobra thing on, so you can just plug that in the back there. And the figure is kind of as you'd expect. Yeah, you've kind of got extra paint in the eyes here. So the paint is painted. Her eyes kind of, that section is painted inside the glasses, if that makes sense. And it's a different colour to the plastic outside of that. The lips and glasses are painted. The head, I think, does rotate around a little bit from side to side, but not a whole load. And then you get the usual articulation you'd expect for a Joe figure. This one with the kind of O-rings. So they've gone for the vintage one. I think I would have preferred it if they'd gone with the newer design and done it that way. So something more like the newer design here, but I guess they are a little bit bigger, these ones. But I would have preferred that look with it. But that's just my personal preference. And then she's got like a little base here, so you can stand her up on that. And then you've got the machine gun thing here. You can go in her hand, and she holds that absolutely fine, no issues. And then if you want to kind of get her interacted with this, you can stand her on the back here like that. You can get the machine gun in. Like that. And then if you want to, then as soon as I mentioned the other Joe character, you could then potentially, if you've got another Joe figure, you could pop him in there like that, or if you want to don't know if this one will actually fit in there, so this will be a bit of a test. Looks like he does. So there you go. So the larger figures do actually fit in there. And that looks pretty cool, I think. So I'm torn at the moment how I'm going to display this. I think at the moment I might display it like this, but we'll soon see. It has got a couple of little wheels underneath, so it does roll absolutely fine. And as mentioned, you can actually get her in there as well, and she does then sit a little bit lower than the other one does, I think. Yeah, I'm just looking to see how they've got it pictured on the back. Oh, they've kind of got it pictured with a almost like her arms like holding her up like that. I mean, to me, with this bit in the way, it does kind of get in the way, so you can do that. Don't know if there's anywhere else you can then peg this. Doesn't look like you can. So, but that's what you can do. And then in terms of transforming it, it's probably easier doing it this way, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to pop down this packaging and stuff out of the way. Get this out like this. In actual fact, they've actually got her in some of the pictures actually sitting on this bit, so in which case she actually then comes up a little bit higher. So that's another option. And that's just to show you the instructions. That's how they've got to kind of operate in this big gun at the top. The instructions are fairly self-explanatory. That shows you the kind of extra bits that you have to kind of set up, as well as the actual cockpit section, which is kind of a whole different piece which you have to kind of peg on, which I guess if you didn't want the extra bits to it, you could take off when you transform it. So I'll kind of show you how I would go about this. So I've only transformed it once, so you have to kind of bear with me, but all of this actually kind of comes apart like this, and as you do it, you then push these bits forward, which, you know, is like part of the kind of seat structure, which is quite cool. These bits, it kind of comes away, this main section from here, so I don't know if I can show that. It's like it kind of pegs in just the side here. There we go, see there's a little peg there, so you kind of want to wiggle it out a little bit more than I did that time. So then you see with this, the legs, they actually flip out, and then underneath is actually the fists, so they actually come out of here like that, and then you can splay them out and pop them off to the side. This bit you see actually come off is actually the shield bit, and it actually is pegged over this bit here, but you can see how it comes out. It's pegged into these bits in here. This section here will just peg down. You can already see the back end of him, and then from here, if you want, you can just start to unfold the legs like that, and you can see at the same time they unpeg from there as well. And that, I mean, that's pretty much the legs already done. And then from here, this kind of section here wants to kind of come up like that and lift out of there completely, and then these arm sections kind of come out, and they're going to come up there, but at the same time you want to bring this bit down So it pegs into there. You can see this is the separate piece, and it's got a fair bit of weight to it. You can see how it's fallen off, and it's just pegged in up here. But it actually probably makes it easy to transform without that bit off anyway. So this bit is going to come down. At the same time, these arm bits are going to come up, and these bits are going to kind of peg it around down here like that. And these bits will peg over. And then it's just a case of lining everything else up. So move these hands around like that. And then these bits, I'm trying to remember how they go now. Oh yeah, I think it's like that. Something like that, I think. It's kind of got these massive kind of shoulder pad things. So it's something like that. I'm just going to back out a little bit so you can see them. Like that. This section here, it's probably easier to do this and then peg it in. So this bit comes down, and then this section goes up like that, I think. Yeah, I think that's right. This bit will turn around and face forward, and that's where it'll peg in like that. And you'll see where this will peg in on this side here. So it's quite a considerable backpack that he's got with this on the back here. There we go. I'll start with that on the back, and then you've got the Cobra thing on this side here, and then you can fit in the figure as I mentioned, so she can pop in there, kind of be operating the cannons up here. Like that, and then the cannon can peg on either side, but you've got a peg on here, which kind of, so he's kind of got a fusion cannon, but it's like right on the end of his arm, and then this bit here is supposed to be like a shield, so he can hold it in his hand like that if he wants to. I guess that's with the shield upside down, isn't it? So, but that's how they show it. The other option would be for him to have it pegged on the side of his arm like that, and then it's a case of just kind of getting him in the right kind of pose that you want, really. Which I haven't played around with him loads, but it's kind of a bit fiddly at the moment. It's quite a big figure, so it's a bit fiddly trying to get everything posed. You see these side bits here want to come out a little bit, and because he's got so much weight on the back, I'm trying to get him in a decent pose where he's kind of facing forward a little bit. There you go. I think that's fairly decent. So he does look good. He is quite a big figure, just as a bit of a size comparison. I'm just going to straighten him up just so you can see how tall he is with everything on, like that. So that's him dead straight. Okay, and then if we bring in some other bits, here's Megatron, which is like the Voyager one. So he's nearly double the size of him. If I got some other G.I. Joe bits and pieces crossover figures, so if you wanted to display him with maybe like a bat, there he is there. Again, more than twice the size. Serpentor as well. And then if you want to see him alongside a more recent figure from Legacy, Skids. And as I mentioned, we had some of the more recent figures. So there we are, like that. And then we're going to go through the articulation. So to do that, I'm going to take off all these bits. So I'm going to take off this from the side here. So we've just got the figure in. And I'm going to try and take a look at this big guy. So this gun thing obviously rotates around. If you wanted it out of the way, you can peg it around the back. It does then mean you've got a little bit of extra weight on the back. As you can see, there is a fair bit on the back. It doesn't look too bad. As you go around the figure, there is a lot of hollowness, like inside here, inside the legs, inside here in the arms. This is more to do with transformation. And you do get, there is like a gap in here as well, which is kind of frustrating that there is that a little bit of a gap in there. But the head sculpt itself is pretty good. You know, it's definitely Megatron there. They've put some nice paint on here. The eyes look really good. Red paint for the eyes. The head sculpt's spot on. I can rotate all the way around. You can look down, up a little bit, and a little bit to the side. You've got red paint in here, Decepticon symbol here, all the normal kind of bits in here with a little bit of red on the outside and yellow in here, which is all good. I mentioned the gun is painted. Again, you've got the hollowness inside. There's no articulation on the hands. They are painted though in black. This is all painted black, as are these bits here, all painted silver and red. And again, they are kind of hollow on the inside. You mentioned the legs as well, kind of being hollow. You've got some nice grey paint on the legs here as well. Would have been good to see. I didn't realise that these bits actually flip out to give you ankle supports. So that does help the figure immensely, because that wasn't how he was transformed. So that does help you a lot when posing this figure, because you get decent articulation in the legs, you get a ratchet here, and then this bit here is really quite stiff. So when you're moving him around, it does make it a little bit tricky if you've got everything kind of balanced on him. So I would, if I were you, get him into a pose that you want him into, and then add in who you want in here, or add in his kind of shields and bits and pieces and do it that way. Yeah, so you've got that. The legs actually go forward all the way up to there and back out to here, out to there. There's a swivel around here, and then the leg bends all the way back to there, and then the feet forward and backwards, no what would you call it, pivot or whatever you want to call it, rocker for the feet. You've got these bits here which you can move them side to side, so you can kind of move them out of the way. The arms rotate all the way around and out to side. You can lift this bit up. It is supposed to stay tabbed in like that. If you don't, you can move these bits up and out. So it goes up to there, rotation here, and then the arm bends up to here. And these bits then come back over like that. And then you can move. Oh yeah. So as I mentioned, these bits can come off. You can hold them in his hands if you want to, or you can move this bit back around as we said earlier and have the Baroness kind of sitting in there. It is quite a big, imposing figure. And he looks good on display, but there are a lot of hollow pieces. I think to start off with, I was quite underwhelmed with him, but having a bit more of a play around, I am starting to like him a little bit more, I think. I do wish there was more in terms of, I don't know, I just guess I wish he was like filled out a little bit more. And maybe a little bit more extra detail. But overall, it's pretty good. Like I mentioned, the Baroness figure, I wish they'd kind of gone with the kind of updated figures as opposed to these other ones. But they do fit in well with the vehicle, which is pretty neat. It's, you know, I guess it's very hard for them to do something where everything fits in. But I think this is a decent compromise. There's a few little things that I changed here and there and a few little niggles, but overall I think it's a good figure. You know, if you're into Transformers and G.I. Joe, it's a good one to pick up, but not necessarily a must buy or anything else like that. It might be one worth seeing if it kind of goes down in price a little bit maybe, but it's certainly a cool display piece. I'm thinking now maybe I will keep him on display like this. And now I've got like a few other figures sort of going around him, and maybe that I have a little Transformers G.I. Joe scene for these guys and have them alongside him. But yeah, I mean, Megatron is huge though. That's the good thing about it. It does give you that scale thing, which is great. So that is it for now, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.